Welcome to the Inclusive Pedagogy Toolkit, provided by the Association of College and Research Libraries Instruction Section. This toolkit is assembled by the members of Team A of the Emerging Leaders class of 2022, tasked with the creation of an Inclusive Pedagogy Toolkit for use by Instruction Section members and the broader library instruction community. This project was built upon a survey looking at the need for supporting diversity and inclusion within instruction programs and the instruction section itself, conducted and analyzed by the Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, alongside a previous class of emerging leaders. Based on that report, it was recommended that a LibGuide be created to address the need for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the instruction section of the ACRL, pulling together online resources, tools, and best practices related to inclusive pedagogy for academic instruction librarians. 8 categories were suggested to Team C to consider in the creation of the toolkit, and resources were identified and organized by the previous class of emerging leaders. Our next steps were to conduct a brief environmental scan of existing resources, establish our sections and criteria for inclusion, and build the LibGuide. What you're seeing today is the result of those efforts. A LibGuide on inclusive pedagogy, which focuses not only on the resources available, but also on supporting those who access it. First things first, what is inclusive pedagogy? Inclusive pedagogy is an instructional theory concerned with making learning materials and teaching methods accessible to as many students as possible by considering a range of diverse student identities, including race, gender, sexuality, and abilities, among others, and centering these diverse identities in developing educational practices. Inclusive pedagogy belongs to a family of pedagogies which encompasses critical, engaged, feminist, liberatory, open, and humanizing pedagogy, as well as the universal design for learning. One scholar of inclusive pedagogy has identified 5 components. Each of these components seeks to foster the understanding that power dynamics exist in instructional settings, and that through exploration and personal reflection, barriers to democratic learning can be reduced, and a meaningful learning environment can result from everyone bringing both intellectual and experiential knowledge into each instructional interaction. All parties, not just the person standing in the front of the room, contributes to and influences the learning process, and practicing inclusive pedagogy can help to remind us to make those structural and personal changes in every classroom. So what does that mean for academic instruction librarians? To answer that question, this toolkit is divided into 3 sections: tools for instruction, anti-racism, and self-care. Let's break that down. In our tools for instruction, you'll find resources in 4 categories: self-reflection and implicit bias tools and activities for instructors and students, sample lessons and tutorials to take directly from planning into your classroom, universal design for learning to ensure that we approach each student as a whole person, and classroom engagement for what that looks like in an inclusive learning environment. In our anti-racism section, you'll get an understanding of what anti-racism can look and sound like in instructional settings. Inclusive pedagogy is partly about breaking down the structures which form power imbalances in the classroom, and adopting an anti-racist approach as part of your practice is one way to ensure an inclusive learning environment for all students. In our self-care section, you'll see ways in which you can guard your own mental and physiological welfare while doing this challenging work, with resources specifically for and by people of color who often bear the brunt of the emotional labor when these topics are discussed. Our team decided on these sections as the most likely to provide a comprehensive and meaningful overview of what inclusive pedagogy looks like in the academic library environment. We invite you to look into your institution's stance on inclusive pedagogy, form communities of practice and critical friend groups, and continue the important work of providing the best possible instruction to all students. If you have questions about this project, resources you'd like to share, or just want to talk about these issues, here's where you can reach Team A of the Emerging Leaders class of 2022. We thank you for your time and interest and look forward to connecting with you.